What am I in today? Let me tell you, I'm in a GMC Yukon. But not just any Yukon, no. I'm in the 2021 Yukon, proudly built in Arlington, Texas. Let me tell you what, you get a little bit of Texas baked right into this old girl. Why don't you come for a Tuesday test drive? It will surprise you how much they can get this vehicle up and going in such a short period of time, considering the size of it. I think it just says a lot about this, the V8 in this truck, which is excellent, I gotta say. And not only that, it's just so smooth. Like, as a point of reference, when one of the sales reps had mentioned to me, well, the ride's different, so therefore the previous customer, they might not like it, and I've been warning my clients this is a different ride. I think the ride is not really what might blow a lot of customers away that used to have a GMC Yukon. I gotta say, I think it's just the overall refinement that would really kind of throw some people off. Driving this truck, this SUV, is kind of like driving my apartment. I said it when I drove the Cadillac that this is something totally different. This is the brand new GMC Yukon, and for those who don't know, GMC actually has quite a lot of history, and so does General Motors in general and Cadillac, and you would have seen those in my previous videos. And thanks again to the folks at Applewood for loaning me those Cadillacs and this GMC. My friend Nick and Lee Whittick over at Applewood always are very welcoming, and I love the fact that they give me some of this great new stuff. And I gotta say, I'm really, really impressed with this vehicle overall, but also mainly because I just didn't expect this much tech in the GMC. A little bit of history about GMC. Well, William Durant had owned the company since 1909, and it's pretty easy for me to remember that their 110th birthday will be next year, July 22nd, which is also my birthday. But yeah, I guess I've always thought of it as General Motors commercial, because a lot of the vehicles that General Motors worked with GMC were things like ambulances, which we actually might be hearing right now as one goes by, fire trucks, and other large vehicles. In fact, I believe during the Second World War, GMC produced over 600,000 service vehicles for the men and women in the military, which is unbelievable. But at any rate, the GMC Yukon, what is it? What's different about it now? Well, it's changed quite a bit. And I would say this is far more Cadillac than the average GMC consumer would expect. Normally, when you're looking at a GMC Yukon or a GMC anything, you're always assuming that it's coming from the truck-based platforms, hence the term SAV and SUV. An SUV is a sport utility vehicle. This one emphasizing the utility, hence you could pull a very large boat with this vehicle. Unlike a lot of SAVs, some of the German brands out there, that have a really nice sport utility vehicle, but unfortunately they're not really designed to pull to the extent to which that we want things pulled for vehicles like this. Vehicles like this you buy because you don't necessarily want to have a secondary vehicle in the family. A truck is something that you need in order to pull the weight of whatever it is that you're pulling, and this kind of does both, except you also get this incredibly lovely environment that I'm in. And by environment, I am not kidding by environment. 4G LTE is surrounding this entire vehicle. In fact, these screens at the back, these beautiful, I called them DVD screens, but Nick was like, it's more than that. You can actually be sitting back there and your phone, because you're on the Wi-Fi connection that's in this vehicle, you can actually throw whatever it is on your phone into that screen, which is unbelievable. And of course, all the stuff inside the car has just gone up an entire grade level, I would say. As soon as I got in and I saw the touch screen, or rather, excuse me, the buttons for the transmission. So there's no column shift here. There's no big shifter in the middle here. All we have is a massive, massive bin area. I mean, like a whole person can sit right here. This is a very, very large vehicle, but it doesn't feel that way on the ride. Now, of course, the ride, it still feels big. It's a big vehicle. I mean, just look at the size of the thing. I'll have some extra shots out there, so hopefully you can kind of get the size of it, because it is so big. But I gotta say, it doesn't drive as big as I thought it would. This drives a lot. It does remind me a lot of the Cadillac Escalade that I drove a few episodes back. And that Escalade, this is actually bigger than that Escalade, even though it's a short body. But it has all the really lovely bells and whistles that you'd expect on the Caddy, actually. So when you open up the car, this particular model anyway, with the side step that kind of folds out, with the interior, with all the paneling on the interior being so upgraded, the heating and ventilation controls are excellent. I love them. I love some dedicated buttons. I don't want to go into a screen to turn my air-conditioned seat on, which I'm enjoying right now because it's happens to be a lovely day. But another point on the ride, this sport utility vehicle, this Yukon, when you actually take a look at it, it's extremely well proportioned for as big as it is, which shows you they put a little bit of money into the wheel and tire setup here. So unfortunately, you're going to have to replace them eventually, but these wheels and tires really suit the size of the vehicle. So therefore, when you're driving, you do find that it's actually agile. Might not be the word you'd expect me to use, but I'm surprised at how agile it is. No, it's not going to be a Cadillac XT6 or anything like that. It doesn't have that kind of agility. This is still a very big, you're pushing around a lot of mass. Just check out the weight on this vehicle. The gross vehicle weight is up there, but also it can pull and it can tow. And really, this is a sport utility vehicle for those that really need the utility, but don't necessarily work in construction, that maybe with their 1 or 1.2 or 2.2 children, whatever, will be able to, you know, put up with something with this much utility that is this pretty on the inside. But it's not so pretty that you're gonna stop and go, oh, we can't use it. It's lovely leather and all this stuff on the interior looks great. I really like this sort of faux kind of wood grain dash that's darkened, but then the stitching on the interior and stuff like that, it's really got an upscale feel. But then on top of the wheels and tires and just like the overall look of it, you have magnetic ride in this thing. And that's a really great piece of tech coming from Cadillac, but you wouldn't expect it on GMC. So therefore, when you're looking at a Chevy Tahoe, for instance, you're going to look at a more analog suspension setup, but it's also improved in that it's fully independent now. Whereas this suspension here on the Yukon is magnetic. So with magnetic ride, you really have lost the truck feel. But interestingly enough, I think it's going to be a huge plus. I think it's a huge plus for a lot of GMC owners that maybe in the past, those Yukon owners would have liked a little bit more, dare I say, luxury in their ride of their GMC. GMC has definitely taken a step up with their whole, professional grade line. And this is definitely professional or commercial grade, but definitely with a touch of, you know, a wealthy contractor to it or something like that. I mean, definitely the whole Texas feel is baked in because this vehicle is so big. But, you know, I gotta say, the way it tracks, the way it drives, I have no issue lifting my hands off the wheel for a moment because the car does track, the truck or SUV really tracks well, and maybe that's part of it. It feels much more car-like, and I keep saying car. But for a truck, I gotta say, this thing's really, really impressive. And it doesn't feel like a truck. It has its moments, sure, but with the way the thing looks, with the way it drives, with the overall experience of it, I gotta say, it's generally, I'm just really impressed overall, and I think you will be too. So if you do have a moment and you do want to give something like this a try, check out this turning circle, 2 lanes, fantastic. If you do want to give this vehicle a try, you got to call my friends over at Applewood. They'll be able to show you this truck and a bunch of other variants and all kinds of fun stuff. And they know far more than I do. They're the professionals. They're the ones doing most of the sales on these things and not me. However, if you do need something, check out the folks over at Applewood. They'll be able to look you up. And of course, if you want to see any more videos, please do like and subscribe. If you don't want to subscribe, tell a friend to subscribe. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. And do check up on some of those older videos we have from Applewood on the series of Cadillacs that I think a lot of people are overlooking. Definitely worth checking out.
How big is the GMC Denali? Well, it's big enough to actually play hide and seek in.
Here I am, in the 3rd row.
Visions don't need nothing but execution and time. Buddha don't need nothing but a beating around. God protect my soul, mama need to know that I'm fine. Who providing the vibes? You see the hippies on the ground.